Uh, Thank you. Yes, I will pass over to our guest to introduce our call tonight. Over to you, Chris.
Oh, good evening, everyone. Chris Packham here in the very sunny New Forest. I've just seen on the chat that someone's in Manchester where it's raining. I apologise for that. It's a nice warm spring evening down here. I've just seen a sparrowhawk swoop through my garden, chasing small birds on the feeder. I've been listening to a cuckoo in the last 10 minutes. Unfortunately, it's stopped now. And I was just packing away some cardboard for recycling, and I found this little beauty outside some dead wood. It's a wasp beetle. That's the general name for these creatures, and you can see it's using that warning, what we call aposematic coloration. It's pretending to be a wasp. It's pretending to pack a sting. It doesn't, of course. It's a wood-boring beetle species, but it's made my night because it's a very attractive insect. Made my night on two accounts. One, because I've been living the life today of Andy Dufresne. Andy Dufresne. Now, dig in the bowels or the back of your mind for Andy Dufresne. Fans of the Shawshank Redemption will know that he is one of the principal characters in that. I've been on my friend's workshop roof painting on bitumen all day in the baking sun. And if you cast your mind back again to the Shawshank Redemption, you'll remember that Andy Dufresne managed to get a crate of cold beers delivered to the prisoners that were doing that in the infamous Shawshank prison. I kept mentioning Shawshank throughout the course of the day in the baking hot sun, painting on the bitumen. No beers appeared whatsoever. Anyway, I've rushed home. I've tried to make myself look respectable. I've just had a bath. I even had a shave, and I was rushing so rapidly to get to the call that I've cut myself shaving. Anyway, that's the upsum of my day. But the smile's on my face on account of our call, and of course that little bit of wildlife that came at the end of the day. Thank you very much for joining. We're here to talk about Restore Nature Now. Look, restore nature now. That's not an ask, is it? It's a demand. And I'm of the opinion that it's time that we stopped asking. We've been asking for a long time and not getting anywhere. Some of us have been timidly tapping on the doors of those with rather larger decision-making processes than we are allowed, because we have an effective toolkit to be able to restore, reinstate, repair, and obviously reintroduce nature wherever it's appropriate. We've catalogued catastrophic declines over the course of my lifetime. Some of you may have looked at the State of Nature reports, which are an increasingly grim picture of one of the most nature-depleted set of countries in the world. That's the UK. But at the same time, I can assure you that conservationists, scientists have been out there practicing, trying, testing, and perfecting techniques so that we can make a difference. And we see this on small scale. You know, I mean, look, I'm very pleased to say that standing here in the New Forest, almost unbelievably, if I contrast this moment with that of when I used to come here as a 14-year-old avid bird watcher, I've got white-tailed eagle and osprey on my garden list. Now, that might sound like bragging to some of you, but all of my neighbours, in fact, many people in the south of England, many people all along the south of England, all right the way up to the southeast, and even in the city of London, have white-tailed eagle on their garden list because we've figured out how to get these birds effectively back into the wild. My problem with that is that they're beautiful, they generate revenue, generate interest, they lift our spirits when we see them. There's lots of that. You know, as a keystone predator, there is a little bit stale. It's not the best around us. We can see that, you know, our natural world is going to hell in a handcart. So look, Emma Smart and I initiated the Restore Nature Now March on June the 22nd in London. We've managed to just about convince 100 NGOs of all sorts to come and join us. And one of our principal aims here is to express our unity. That's really, really important. And our commonality when it comes to bigger picture visions. You see, working to save hedgehogs is really important for hedgehogs. Working to reintroduce white-tailed eagles is really important for raptors. Working to stop the continued exploitation of fossil fuels is really important, or the burning of wood at Drax, or the stopping of farming, industrial farming. All of these things are important, and we all have limited energies, and we focus upon those things. But when you think about it, what are they all about? They're about engendering a respect for life, and also wanting to allow ourselves an expectation that life can prosper without suffering, and think which is better than it is now. And as I've said, I'm convinced that we have, the toolkit to do that. At the moment, we're just not running that out broadly enough and rapidly enough. So, June the 22nd, I thought, thank you very much. I mean, I have to say that going through some of the more difficult aspects of trying to arrange this event. I know you're going to be there as stewards. Thank you very much in advance for that. Again, you've done that so many times, and it's always brilliant. My wish is that we just recruit the largest number of people that we possibly can, and tell them that this family-friendly, creative, peaceful march is about numbers. It's about sharing that commonality. It's about standing shoulder to shoulder, Just Stop Oil, with Hunt Sabs, with RSPB, with Wildlife Trust, and I could go on for all of the other 96 organisations that have signed up, and recognising that commonality, and also, finally waking up to the urgency of this situation. I personally feel that we're moving towards a last stand situation, not just for some species, but for habitats. If we want to retain them in any way, shape, or form, in the way that they present logically now, we have to act now. This government, or whichever government we have in June or by the end of the year, that we need greater investment in restoring nature across the board. And that means radically transforming those things which impact most negatively on our natural environment. And again, if you've read the State of Nature report, it's unambiguous. It says that that's, unsurprisingly, farming, forestry, and fishing. And we know that we have to nurse those communities through a transition. We have to manufacture the patience and the tolerance to be able to do that. And intrinsically, and this is one thing that you are brilliant at, and it's always at the forefront of XR's understanding and approach, and that is kindness. Because we will get pushback when we ask for those sorts of be mandatory. And as a consequence of that, we'll get pushback. But we can fight that pushback with kindness and understanding. And that's the way I think that we will want to move forward. But let's be very clear. We need now to make sure that our elected representatives, those people with their fingers on the purse, those people that can make the big differences, not with the hedgehogs on a tiny reserve somewhere, but over large swathes of our landscape that are impacted negatively by fishing, farming, and forestry, that we can see those reforms put into place. That's what it's about. So look, I hope it's sunny on June the 22nd. Of course, we can't guarantee that, but whether it's sunny or not, we'll be there, empowered by the fact that we know that we can make a difference and that our voices count. And the fact that we will stand up and be counted at this critical time is something which will make us feel good, and it will make us feel good for some considerable time. We might get to a point where, maybe, I don't know, in a few years' time, you'll be, in a woods somewhere, and one of these beetles will land on your shirt, and a young person will say, wow, look at that. And you can think quietly inside, probably the best way, yeah, well, maybe I played some small role in that, because when, everything was under threat, we stood up and we were counted and we took some significant action. So again, bring your imagination, bring your creativity, bring your peace, bring your kindness, and bring as many people as you can. And I look forward to seeing you on June the 22nd. And now I'm going to go and see if my face has stopped bleeding, and get myself a non-alcoholic beer. And I might even watch The Shawshank Redemption, just to relive the experience of having been completely covered in bitumen. Look, there's one little spot left on my hand. I didn't get that one. I got the rest of it off of me. Thank you. Have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Chris, for making it to the open call and helping us to get fired up and excited about Restore Nature Now, especially after what sounds like a very long and challenging day. I hope you enjoy your non-alcoholic beer and get to put your feet up. We'll take it from here. We'll share all the information about Restore Nature Now. And yeah, thank you so much again for joining us. It's been brilliant to see you. Everybody else in the call, welcome, and thank you so much for coming to this very special open call. We know that you know exactly what.
It's a pleasure. Thank you so much for your.
Thanks, Chris. I'm sorry, your signal seemed to be breaking up a little bit there, so we lost you a little bit. Thank you so much. Right, everyone, we've got some work to do. I know you're all buzzed for this and all ready to get stuck in. I've seen the questions coming into the chat already. Please feel free to keep coming in with your questions, and we will take you through slide by slide all the information you need to know for the march. And then at the end, we'll have a Q&A section where you can ask anything that you feel we didn't cover. And just to reiterate exactly what Chris said, we know we stand for love in action. We're here with kindness in our hearts. Please be kind to each other through the chat and through this evening. We're all here to do the work, and there's lots of it to do. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and hope that you can all see. So we've already heard from Chris, the date, the 22nd of June, 2024. And we are ready to get stuck in with the work to do. In the slideshow that I'm about to go through, we'll take you through the what, where, when, who, why, how, and what next. And you can follow along in each slide with the breadcrumbs at the bottom of the slide. So you'll see our first slide coming up is the what. We are heading towards a march and a rally, but predominantly a march. We will stand shoulder to shoulder with many other organisations, as Chris has mentioned, but it is a march. And so we need to make sure that we are prepared for a one-day, short and agile action. And I can see someone is drawing on the screen, so I'm hoping tech can help get rid of that. Thank you. And just a reminder, this is not the big one. This is a one-day event, and we are coming not as XR's party this time, but we are coming as XR. So we will stand shoulder to shoulder with other organisations, and we will be very present as XR. So time to turn up in your glorious XR colours. The where of the march is that the full route will set off from Park Lane and head to Parliament Square. The short route will go from Whitehall Place to Parliament Square, and the rally is in Parliament Square, where there will be a stage and a relay screen and PA system will repeat the messages along Whitehall. We're expecting there won't be enough space in Parliament Square for everyone, so we will take up the space along Whitehall with repeater screens and speakers. And that information is now available in a user-friendly, interactive Google Map. The Google Map is now available on the XR UK website under the Restore Nature Now section and will be sent out in emails. You can see there are key locations marked on there, and the long or full route and the short route, which is an accessible route. The when. Timings will vary if you are crew. You might need to turn up earlier, but the assembly of the march begins at 11 AM. So from 11 till 12, we have an hour for assembling, and that assembly will be in Park Lane. We have the entirety of Park Lane to assemble, but we do not have Hyde Park. So just so you're aware, there is an activity happening in Hyde Park. Public can still access Hyde Park, but we will be predominantly focusing our assembly on Park Lane. And the march itself will set off from 1 and it will finish at 2. at Parliament Square, where the rally begins. The rally will go from 2 p.m. to 4:30. And again, all of these times will be added to the XR UK and Restore Nature Now websites. The after picnic party is still to be confirmed. Watch this space, we'll let you know. The Who, not the band, but who is coming? There are over 100 supporting organisations, and that list is growing. The application process is still open. So any organisation which you are affiliated with or groups which you're involved in that would like to come, please head to the Restore Nature Now website, where you can fill in an application to be a supporting organisation and have your logo featured on the website and be there in number on the day. XR are working hard to invite diverse organisations who came to the big one. Everyone is welcome. In fact, I just looked at the spreadsheet and I just saw that the latest application was filled in by Muslim LGBT Network. So we're working hard on growing that list, and everyone is welcome. There may be some who might not agree with everyone who's listed, and that's understood. We want to remind everyone, as Chris just said, we must unite around a commonality, a simple love for life or life. It's not about me, you, or them. It's about us. No egos, no divisions, no competition, jealousy, just unity. And talking of that unity, I'm going to pause the share for a second and come back to the room. And I'd like to take a second to thank you for staying with us and to welcome our next special guest, which is Alice from RSPB. Hi, Alice. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, lovely to see you. Oh, my face just popped up big. It's horrifying. Lovely to see you all. My name's Alice Hardiman. I'm Director of Campaigning and Mobilisation at the RSPB. I hope you've all had lovely Sundays. I've been out in the garden listening to swifts wheeling around above me, which has been absolutely lovely and a real sign of summer. We're really looking forward to joining with over 100 other organisations taking part in the Restore Nature Now March on the 22nd of June. And we'll be bringing our staff, our volunteers, our local groups, and also our absolutely massive Avocet puppets. So big, you need special training to be able to work them, but very exciting to have those there. And we'll hope to be bringing loads of our supporters with us as well. So we've got a whole range of comms planned to encourage our supporters to come along, and we'll be running events like kind of placard making, banner making, just to really get everyone excited and in the spirit. So yeah, huge thanks to the team for inviting me along this evening. Really looking forward to the 22nd and looking forward to seeing many of you there.
Thanks, Alice. I can't wait to see the giant Avocet. Brilliant. Thanks for joining us on the call, and we'll see you on the 22nd. Take care. Bye. Right, everybody, back to me and the share of the slides, which is going to just take me a second to bring up because tech. Bear with me. Here we go. Thanks, Alice, for coming along. So we're into the how section. If you're following along with the breadcrumbs at the bottom, we've made it through what, where, when, who, why, and how. So we're now in the how section. We're just going to go into a little bit more of the detail about the kind of march that we can expect and how we're going to deliver that. So starting off with the all-important accessible and inclusive, creative and family-friendly and powerful and progressive. Huge thank you to Sean for working so tirelessly in the accessibility section. I think I might have missed a slide, so sorry. Yes, here we go. In the accessibility work, Sean has been working hard to increase the accessibility and make sure this march is accessible to all, with the short route, an optional block at the front of the march, access buddies, making sure the route is step-free, and we will have our BSL interpreters as well. If you need any additional access support, please contact xr.inclusion at protonmail.com or text or phone Sean on 07773 193 704. Thank you, Sian, for making yourself so available to help us be accessible. I definitely did miss a slide, so I'm going to go back one. This might seem a bit out of order, but hopefully you can stay with me. We've got a how on how to get there and how to stay there. We've got new travel information on the XR UK website under the Restore Nature Now section. You can find out how to book a coach. There's instructions there which have lots of guidance. It's all available on the Rebel Toolkit as well, so you can definitely find out how to get yourself a collaborative coach. And you can also see coaches that are already booked. So if somebody's booked a coach and you'd like to come with them, there are already 2 coaches up on the website as of, they were added today. And we have a form there for people to fill in when they've booked their coach so that we can add that to the website as well. So if you're interested in booking a coach, you'll find all the information there. If you've already booked a coach and you'd like to tell us about it, use the form, and then we will list your coach on the UK website so other people can come along as well. For accommodation, Extinction Rebellion are working closely with Community Home. They are a provider of accommodation. They link hosts in London with guests, and they work on the basis of a suggested donation for £10 per person per night. And you can find out more on communityhome.org.uk. And all of these links will be provided in a follow-up email, and they're on the XR UK website. So Community Home, thank you for your hard work there. Lupin, Ali, Ben, etc. Lots of hard work gone into the accommodation, making it more affordable for rebels to stay in London for our activities. So I think we're now at the fun creative section. So I'd like to welcome Kimani to the call, who's going to take us through the creative part of the call. Hi, Kimani.
Hi, Lizard. Thanks so much. So it's time to get creative if you weren't already. So Extinction Rebellion has just such an amazing history of bringing these enormous creative elements to marches and demos. And what we want to emphasize to you is be as creative as you possibly can. We are nature, but make sure you can carry your avocet. So that's, really something we want to emphasize. This is a one day, it's not an occupation. And that means we don't have any site to store things on. If you bring the malaria mosquito to wear as a backpack, you will be wearing your mosquito all of the day. That being said, you might bring something like the avocet, which is in pieces to take on the tube and then assemble when you get there. We encourage you to be as creative as you possibly can. The visual element here is always fantastic, and it's especially important here. So we are nature defending itself. Look out for the workshops. That's right. Creative Circle are going out on the road doing workshops on how to make masks, how to make all sorts of things, and you may find that your local XR group is running those as well as Creative Circle UK going on the road. So we are nature, and we are going to look like nature. So we really welcome all of your creative ideas, and the march is going to be in 4 themed blocks. So actually, we're going to start with none of those. We're going to start with the access block. So Liz had mentioned that, and of course we have Sian doing a fantastic job making sure this is accessible to as many diverse bodies as possible. So next we have woodland, and following that, water. Following that, we have land, and following that, air. So that's from the front to the rear of the march. So I've got some wonderful ideas from you that came from a Creative Circle coordinator who let me know that in Manchester, they are doing a marching meadow. So that would most likely go in the land block with dormice and flowers and all types of flora and fauna. In Hackney, deep sea creatures are being created, and that would be for the water block. And for the air area, another large item, I've been told that there's an enormous owl being made, which will come in pieces on the tube, and a swarm of yarn-bombed bees. So there's plenty of ideas for you to choose from to get started, but be aware that these are general themes. But if you really want to be with your friends in the land area and actually you have a fish with you, that's totally fine. Take them as a loose theme, but we want to make sure that we have these themes here to encourage the diversity. Perhaps if you've been on the dirty water campaigns recently, you'd like to be with the water area, but perhaps you have a bird with you. That's totally fine. And we just encourage you to be as imaginative as possible. I will pick up now because I'm going to mention about music. So I can see a question in the chat about that. So I will just quickly mention about music. We have XR drums coming along. Do get in touch with them to join. And we also have, I'll come back to the regional groups. So, but that kind of is relevant to the drums because it's likely that if you're drumming with a regional group, you're going to go in the block that regional group is assigned to, because that makes sense. We also have the climate choir movement coming along. What I'd recommend as a musician is if you're a singer, if you have an instrument, bring it along to join in with what's there. We are looking to represent nature and represent, en masse. So we're not really looking at individual music acts. We're looking at creating large groups. So come along ready to join in with your instrument and your face. And that takes me to, I think there's one more slide. There we go. So XR stewards. So for this, I will hand back to Lizards to talk about stewards.
Thanks, Marnie. Yeah, just a recap briefly on the regions there. We are not saying that everybody has to stay in the theme or the region that has been put in front of you here. It's really a guide just to help people find each other. So if you're a bee from the southeast, you can decide if you want to go into the air section or woodland section or just buzz around in between. That's fine. You don't have to be anywhere in particular. We're nature. Let's thread in between and weave in and out. But what we've got are 4 drummers groups, and they happen to have the regional names there. So it's easy for people to find. Oh, I'm normally with my Southwest crew. I'll head to the water block if I'm not particularly aligned with any other block. But it's not prescriptive. You can go where you like and you can choose whichever block you like. It's also for us to help plan out the mustering and the arranging of groups when we turn up in Park Lane so that we can guide. Perhaps there's the Devon Bat Conservation Group and they might want to go in the southwest or in air. So we can give them choices and we can help people find each other because there's going to be a lot of us, we hope. So onwards, stewards. Yeah, so stewards are going to be the glue that keeps us all together. And as Chris said earlier, a huge thank you to XR who have been fabulous with putting forward a training and recruitment kind of organisation towards the stewards. So XR UK are going to be holding the provision of stewarding at the March, but it's not just XR stewards, it's XR stewards and friends. So all the other supporting organisations are invited to be stewards as well. So we might have, or we're definitely going to have stewards coming from RSPB. You saw Alice earlier. They're very proactively recruiting stewards who are going to come alongside XR stewards, and we're all going to work together as one team. So huge thank you to the stewards team for putting together incredible planning for this. We need 1,000 stewards for the March. So we've got a lot of work to do. And so far, I believe we have 100 stewards already applied, which is great. Thank you so much for those who've applied. And we still have some spaces available. We are obviously expecting some stewards from the other groups, but we are going to need to recruit more stewards. So if you are ready to get out there and point people towards Restore Nature Now with a way to help, the first ask is to ask people to become a steward. So we've got a find out more and a recruitment form available on the XR UK website, and I've highlighted in pink there extinctionrebellion.uk/restore-nature-now. If you manage to remember it, brilliant. If not, you can find it from the homepage, and we will send it out in an email and on the broadcast. That is where all the information is going to get added all the time. We have new information, and that is where you can apply to become a steward or help with outreach. There are some trainings for stewards that are already booked in. These are Zoom calls that last an hour and take you through all of the stewarding information, and you can register for those on the UK website as well. And we've got Jim here from XR UK Stewarding, who will answer any questions from you in the Q&A section at the end. We also have some trainings for outreach. Outreach team are really hard at it at the moment, working hard to encourage people to refresh their knowledge on outreach. The two trainings coming up are doing evidence-based outreach and hope and optimism for successful outreach. They're next Tuesday, 14th of May, and Tuesday, the 21st of May. Again, you can register for them via the UK website. And I really would urge everyone to attend those trainings. There's some fantastic tips and tricks and pieces of information which will empower even the most simple of connection conversations. We need outreach to be something that everyone in XR takes on and learns as a role. We have a huge opportunity to reach many, many people during the march. And so we would really urge everybody to join in with outreach. It doesn't mean you have to sign up for an outreach role, but there are outreach roles available, coordinators, making sure the leaflets get to the right places, making sure that people are empowered to do the outreach. But it is something that we really want all rebels to take on board and get involved with. There are, as I said, special roles or dedicated volunteer roles, and many of those are listed on the dedicated volunteer website, which is volunteer.extinctionrebellion.uk. Again, the links will be provided. A particular shout out for production and outreach. So please have a little look on there. If you can take a short volunteer role, we'd love to hear from you. And we have also got some digital work to do. There are some new posts coming out next week. The Restore Nature Now dedicated social channels will be launched next week, and we're asking everybody to stand by to give first aid to the posts. And a recap, some of you will remember first aid, for some of you it might be new. So to recap, when you see a post from Extinction Rebellion, something you can do is you can forward that message to someone you know. You can interact with the message, give it a thumbs up or a like, or perhaps a comment, something supportive. You can request your friends and your colleagues and your contacts to do the same. You can share it to your own feed, repost it, retweet it, and you can tag and @mention friends in the comments. That's how you give first aid to an organic social media post for XR UK. So my slides have gone in funny orders, folks. I'm so sorry. I've got one or two that are just a little bit out. So apologies for this. We've got what next? Empowered conversations with everybody. This is the outreach trainings recap, which I think I've just covered in another slide. So a recap reminder, evidence-based outreach, 14th of May, and hope and optimism for successful outreach on the 21st of May. Recap of the asks. We are really keen to enroll you all as stewards or as outreach support. Please do sign up to become a steward or outreach support and check out the roles on the volunteer website. Stand by to give first aid on social posts. And lastly, stand by for more information. More information can come out to you via lots of different methods. You will have found out about tonight's open call from a number of different methods, including Telegram, probably Signal chats. We're connected through the dedicated Restore Nature Now Telegram chat. And again, the link for that can be found on the XR UK website and will be sent out via emails. I think I've covered everything apart from to say, a big part of what next, which we always think about, which beyond today's call and beyond the 22nd of June, when we turn up in London, We are a non-violent direct action movement, and we have a recruitment route. This is a clear and obvious pathway towards our demand to establish a citizens' assembly on climate and ecological justice. And there is a mass action at the end of summer 2024. So there will be plenty of information between now and the March about how we can mobilise people towards the next action. That's the end of the slideshow, folks. I'm going to stop the share. Thank you so much for your attention. I'm sure you've got lots of questions. I've seen the chat pinging away, and I will take a second to pause there and bring in the lovely Kat, who's going to help us navigate through the questions.
Yep, thank you so much. So we've been picking up the questions that you've already been popping in the chat, but please do, if there's anything on your mind, please do start popping it down and we will get through as many as possible. I think the first one I'm going to have to go to is one we've seen quite a few times, which is we might have missed the why section, Liz. Do you want to take a minute to wrangle your slideshow, and perhaps we'll jump back into that. First of all, there is will you send us the slides? Yeah, sure. They will be on the Rebel Toolkit following this call, and that will all be linked from the follow-up email, so you will be able to have a browse through those in your own time and have a look at that. Are you good, Liz? Are you good to go?
I'm good to go. Just shows us that everyone's paying attention. There's a lot of information to get through, so sorry about that. Slides are very tricky. I'm working across two screens again. Thank you for your patience and for bringing it up. The why slide I will just share now. This is a very simple, I mean, Chris covered it brilliantly earlier, right? We're nature defending itself. Whether your particular creature of choice is a little bug that lands on your arm, or is a badger or a hedgehog, whatever gets your heartstrings pulled, and you see the loss of habitat and the loss of life, the loss of those species in our country and in our world, we're motivated to defend nature, and we know what's needed. So Chris said it better than I can. We're nature defending itself, and we will be there to push the message that we must restore nature now, and we'll do it as loudly and colourfully and as powerfully as we possibly can. But XR has done a number of different events and a number of different actions. So why a march and why now? Restore Nature Now is not just another event, it is a strategic pivot point. It stands as a beacon of what XR has achieved already. It's a moment that is inclusive, respected, and capable of shaping the discourse. Shifts in the Overton window are speeding up with increasing credibility and approach, and a growing perception of XR as leaders capable of influencing both NGOs and political frameworks, paving the way to upgrade democracy from the system that is destroying us to one that supports all life on Earth. And we must do that by bringing people along the NVDA pathway. That's the why slide that I missed. Thanks everyone for bringing me back to the purpose.
Thank you. Before we go to any others, I think the most important question I've seen in the chat is there any risk of violence from somebody who is new to this? Extinction Rebellion has always been and will always be a non-violent direct action group. There is significant research that suggests that non-violence is more successful than violence in creating change. And I'm sure that many of you will agree it is something that we hold very deep in our hearts as well, something we embody in everything that we do. And that is something that we will always hold true to when we are out on the streets together, or indeed taking action anywhere. Into some more of the practical stuff. How long is the full length of the route? And who would like to answer that?
I have that one somewhere to hand. I think it is 2.6 miles. It's available on the map. So the map will be posted on, yeah, thumbs up from Jim. Thanks. That I remembered it. It's in my mind. 2.6 miles is the long route, and I think the short route is under a mile. And that will be available on the map.
Thank you. And you beat me to it. I was going to ask what the short route was while I had you there. There's quite a few questions about timing. When is the timings of everything? So could we perhaps just reiterate that and some reassurance that we will be able to fit everything in?
Yes, it's a tight timetable. It's a 11 o'clock start of the assembly. It's an hour long to assemble from 11 till 12. And then a set off march, which is an hour from Park Lane to Parliament Square. And the rally begins at 2. So yeah, XR can get on with what we're doing at 11 o'clock and we can start mustering in Park Lane. I believe stewards are going to be asked to turn up half an hour before that. Jim will be able to confirm that. And yet we have got a tight timeline. It's not an XR UK event. It's a timeline designed by Restore Nature Now, and we are going along with that. It's a short, sharp, massive burst of energy. So please be prepared. It's not like our usual XR longer stays.
Thank you. And another one, which I think is going to be right back at you, Liz, though I see somebody has shared this in the chat already. Any more details about the asks of this march? What are the demands? What are we hoping to achieve by taking part in Restore Nature Now?
Brilliant question. That is a section which is on the Restore Nature Now website. And if someone could put a link in the chat for that, that would be great. So restorenaturenow.com. I'll run through them really quickly. They are a pay rise for nature. Farmers manage 70% of UK land and have a huge role to play in supporting environmental recovery, but they need more support. We want to see the nature and climate friendly farming budget doubled. Make polluters pay is number 2. Big businesses from water to retail to energy, all further environmental decline. We want new rules to make them contribute to nature and climate recovery and an end to new fossil fuels. Number 3, more space for nature. Just 3% of English land and 8% of waters are properly protected for nature and wildlife. To meet UK and nature and climate commitments, we need to expand and improve protected areas and ensure public land and national parks contribute more to recovery. Number 4, a right to a healthy environment. Limited access to nature and pollution in the air and water affects everyone's health. We're calling for an environmental rights bill, which would drive better decisions for nature, improve public health and access to nature. And the final one, fair and effective climate action. We cannot save nature without solving the climate crisis. We want investment in warm homes and lower bills by increasing home energy efficiency, supporting active travel and public transport, and replacing polluting fossil fuels with affordable renewables to ensure we halve UK emissions by 2030. So those are the 5 Restore Nature Now aims. And they are sort of woven throughout the narrative on the Restore Nature Now website, which talks about very clearly seeing UK politicians showing strong and domestic global nature and climate leadership. That is the ask in as the next general election comes up on the horizon. It's a turning point for our natural world, it says. So together we're calling on politicians of all parties to act now for people, nature and climate.
Thanks, Liz. Lots of people are asking about the outreach training. Outreach is absolutely pivotal to Restore Nature Now and taking us from this to what happens after the march. I do not know the answer to that. I think they are looking at how they can do that, but the sessions are quite interactive. So they want people to feel free to fully engage with them. But the outreach team are looking at ways that they can do that for people who aren't available at the times that the sessions are on. There's one here that I think Kimani might be best placed to answer. Lots of questions about the Red Rebels and if and how and why they might be able to get involved. So over to you with that one.
Yeah, lovely. It's sort of slightly too early to give you the full lowdown on this, but I thought I should really speak to it. So basically, of course, everyone's saying that because of the Bath Funeral for Nature, which was so much of a success, and in Bath itself and also in the press, that it would just be natural to do it again, right? Let's just do it again bigger. But I just wanted to explain that from a press point of view, that doesn't work. Like, that's not what the press bite on. So if you do something which looks fantastic and it's reported on, and then you do the same image again too soon, they just don't pick it up at all. So if you're a Red Rebel, by all means you're welcome. But we are at the moment not thinking that it's a press-worthy idea to do another big stunt of as many Red Rebels as possible, because this particular march has its own USP, it has its own cons around bringing together as many different organizations as possible. And it's the visual of having all of those different organizations seen together that we're going for, and that is deemed press-worthy and that we know to be press-worthy. So that's kind of the line on the Red Rebels at the moment. Having said that, we hope we're going to have more for you during the next open call. But that fact of how the press operate is not going to change between now and then.
Thanks, Kimani. There have been a lot of questions about leaflets, posters, flyers, stickers, all of that good stuff. And the answer to that is if you go to the website, Extinction Rebellion UK /Restore Nature Now, you can link there to the messaging and design pack that XR has created for Restore Nature Now. And that links through to a folder that is continuously being updated with social media assets, posters, flyers. That's where you can find the flyers and social media bits in Welsh as well as English. So for our Rebels in Cymru, those are all in there and they are being added to all the time. So please do go and check those out. A question that I'm amazed it took until this far to come up. What's happening about the toilets? Everyone always wants to know about the toilets. Who'd like to talk about loos?
I love talking about toilets. Unfortunately, the toilets are always a bit of a blockage, shall we say. You can't actually put temporary toilets in the area that we're going. So there aren't going to be additional temporary toilets. However, there are a number of public free toilets available along the route. We'll make sure that they're marked on the map and that all stewards know where they are. So if you are getting caught short on the march, you can ask a steward and they'll point you to the nearest loo. It's just something that we have to work with. It worked very well for the big one. Everyone knew where the toilets were. And we do the same for Restore Nature Now. So no temporary toilets, but plenty of public toilets, and advice on where to find one will be made available for folks. Love a good conversation about toilets.
Thank you. A couple of comments that kind of go together. For those who are doing the short march and are therefore likely perhaps to be waiting for the long march to meet up with them, and for just the periods before and after in the rally, what is there for people to get engaged with and be entertained by? Is anyone able to talk to what's happening in those times?
A little. We have so far the marches will join. By the way, the short march and long march should be joining together. So they will arrive at Parliament Square at the same time, hopefully together, all being well. And there is a stage in Parliament Square which will have something playing or something on before the march arrives there. exact details not yet confirmed, but it'll be something that's going to keep passers-by captivated and hopefully get them rooted to the spot and excited about the fact that there's going to be a whopping great nature march arrive upon them at any moment. So yeah, we're working on the details of that, but there will be something.
Thank you. One of my favourite topics of conversation is unbranded flyers. Will there be any unbranded flyers? There will not be any unbranded flyers provided by XR UK because if having all of the delivery organisations' logos alongside ours isn't the ability to tempt even the most cautious person into perhaps giving us a look, then it's perhaps not for them. We want this to be an opportunity for us to be really visibly Extinction Rebellion. We are incredibly proud of who we are and the work that we do, and very visible about the fact that this is a pathway to take people into NVDA, into whatever comes after this, and the action that they can get a part of. And hopefully having all of these other organisations on board is a really great way to open those conversations and talk to people who might be a little hesitant about Extinction Rebellion, but my mum's coming and she doesn't have anything to do with XR, but some of the delivery orgs we've got on board convinced her. So it's definitely a conversation starter. Liz, would you like to come in on that?
Yeah, just to say that for anybody who wants to mobilise and recruit without XR, if they're really still stubborn about that, that's Restore Nature Now exists. So restorenaturenow.com, head over to restorenaturenow.com, the website, and have a look at their socials, which will be launching next week. So on Wednesday, do feel free to go and have a look for the Restore Nature Now socials. They will be shared on XR channels. And that's a good route to point people towards, because that's the independent voice that they're looking for, and it's the one that's very strong.
Thank you. Couple of questions about the magic number for this March. How many people are we hoping to get there, and how will we know if we are? Is there going to be a counter? How will we keep track of that?
My second favourite question after toilets is the ticker. So we don't have a ticker this time, but there is a pledge to March form, which is on Restore Nature Now website, and people can pledge to say they're coming. So we're keeping a close eye on that, or Restore Nature Now are keeping a close eye on that and sharing that information with XR. So we're in the many thousands of people already signed up to pledge to March, and we obviously want to see that going up, but there won't be any public ticker. Just to say as well, with the ticket that we had for the big one, I think the highest figure we actually got to was about 24,000 in the days leading up to the big one. And as we know, the eventual figure that turned up was much, much higher. So for all our best intents and wishes, keeping track of people coming to a march is really, really challenging. So we've just got to buckle down and do as best we can to encourage as many people to come and RSVP to the pledge if they can. And another good way of doing this is to get people to join the Telegram chat, because we can see the numbers growing in there. We can see the number of people questioning things, bits and bobs, information. We can see the dialogue going on in there, and seeing coaches getting booked. So again, just a reminder, if you can book a coach, we can count how many seats there are on that, and we can know, get an estimate, a feel for the numbers that way. But it is really, really hard to keep a track on the numbers. We just got to get our head down and get as many people there as we possibly can. Hope that's okay.
Yeah, thank you. I think the another bonus of the Telegram chat, though platforms and which platform is always going to be an ongoing conversation, is that it's a great way to bring people into being part of a community, which is hopefully going to mean that they stay around after Restore Nature Now. There are some questions about families and what there are for, I'm guessing, smaller individuals and humans to do during the march and at the rally, and what provision has been made for them and considerations. So would anyone like to come in on that?
Yeah, we've got some family-friendly activities planned for the muster, the assembly area in Park Lane. We've got some giant bubbles, we've got some face painting, and we've got some drawing and crafty bits and pieces to get stuck in with. So it's very family friendly. We're doing a lot of work to try and make sure that the stewards are all briefed and know how to keep their eyes open for the little ones on the march, make sure everybody's well looked after. But yeah, we've got some activities to keep family friendly, and with it being slightly shorter, the shorter route available for families as well as those with accessibility needs. So that's another way that we can accommodate families. And yeah, again, just keeping an eye out for everybody's needs. We can point people towards Sean for accessibility, but yeah, it's a family friendly do. And perhaps with it being a slightly shorter day, XR normally are at things for a lot longer. This is a shorter day, hopefully makes it a little bit more achievable when you've got little ones to look after.
And I've just seen another question pop up that I think piggybacks straight on that, which is, oh gosh, where's it gone already? Who do face painters and other folks who might be interested in offering their services, who do they contact to get involved?
So we've got an email address, which is restorenaturenow@extinctionrebellion.uk. And again, that will be included in the follow-up email, and it's on the XR UK website. Please drop us an email there and we will gladly link you up with the relevant circle working on that.
Thank you. We're coming up to time, but I think we can squeeze in a couple more. Are any other countries having events at the same time or on the same theme as Restore Nature Now?
Nothing confirmed yet, but we can't rule it out. So don't know yet.
And a final consideration about face masks, I'm guessing for both visually, but also really importantly, as an accessibility consideration for those who are immunocompromised, what is being done, I suppose, to make sure that people, considering some of the reactions from the government lately about covering that people's faces at protests, are people going to be able to join this in a way that keeps them safe in light of the government?
Stand by for more guidance on that. So we're working on what's the best piece of advice to give folk, but obviously thinking about the nature theme, if you can put the two together and come with an animal mask, then that might be one way forward. But we're working on an official line. We'll put it out on the website when we get there.
And I will come on with a final one, which is there's a few things about coaches, particularly coach drop-off pickups. We're still working out exactly where the best places are. Normally Wembley would be a great place for coaches to drop people off, but apparently Taylor Swift is playing. I do not think she is coming to the march, so that rules out a few options. But as soon as we have that information to guide local groups that are booking coaches, we will make sure that is available. It will be on the website, and there will also be a broadcast post on the Rebellion broadcast. So thank you so much to everybody for coming along. Really appreciate you giving up an hour of your Sunday evening. I know there's been a lot of information and there's probably still a lot that you want to know, but please do keep checking out the website. Everything that we know will be on there as soon as it possibly can be. But other than that, we really look forward to seeing all of the creativity and enthusiasm and joy that everybody brings with them on the 22nd of June. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for coming along. Kat, are you able to play out with the music?
Let's give it a try.
Message to give to all mankind. Gotta open your eyes, but don't be blind, cause you're bringing the planet down. The wild things are coming to town. Got a message to give to all mankind. Gotta wake up and don't be blind. Gotta turn this planet around. The birds and the bees know we need the trees, and the chimpanzees and the fleas agrees. The people of the earth gotta see what they're worth and turn this planet around. The flora and the fauna wanna speak for the dawn. Are the prawns gonna scorn you for polluting the water? If you care for the animals, the great and the small, you gotta turn this planet around. The jellyfish have just one wish, and the tuna sing a tune about a vegan dish. The whole damn ocean is praying for this. You gotta turn this planet around. The wild things are coming to town. To all mankind, gotta open your eyes, don't be blind, cause you're bringing the planet down. The wild things are coming to town. Got a message to give to all mankind. Gotta wake up And don't be blind, gotta turn this planet around. The lions and the tigers and the bears don't deny it. They're judging us for fudging up the earth and the climate. We're sending all the wild things to their demise. Gotta turn this planet around. The spiders and ants and tarantulas can't understand why humans don't take care of the plants. The centipedes say,
we too have needs.
you gotta turn this planet around. The octopi say they can't fly.
So why should humankind try to take to the sky?
The eagle exclaims,
There is no green plain.
we gotta stay here on the ground. The elephants are cleverer than we could be ever, and they think we should never have begun this endeavor of burning up the forests, and we should acknowledge, gotta turn this planet around. The wild things have come to find us, to tell us we're not listening to the environment. They sing of the things we've forgotten to do. They tell us to remember we are nature too. The wild things have come to find us, to tell us that we're killing them by changing the climate. They sing of the things we've forgotten to do. They teach us to remember we are wild things too. The yaks in their packs tell us we shouldn't frack. The iguana farmer, the hyena says she's senior.
You should go green.
We gotta turn this planet around. The wild things are coming to town. Got a message to give to all mankind. Gotta open your eyes, don't be blind, 'cause you're bringing the planet down. The wild things are coming to town. Got a message to give to all mankind. Gotta wake up and don't be blind. Turn this planet around. The chameleon is feeling when he tries to blend in. Feels the oil on his skin. The earthworm is calling for soil restored. Gotta turn this planet around. The little brown mice say,
You gotta think twice.
down the garden all the rabbits say,
Change your meaty habits.
so take their advice.
Carrots are nice.
Turn this carrot around. You gotta listen to the whole damn zoo. You know that what they have to say is true. It's true. Let them out. Set them free. You gotta see what they see. We gotta turn planet around.